My name is Scott Moore. I'm the VP of Marketing at Peerbridge, and I'll be your host today. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Our topic is on how personal shipping on campus can deliver big benefits. It can make a big impact on the lives of your students, faculty, administration, and staff. It can enhance student life on campus. When students are turning to online selling for part-time jobs, they can use personal shipping. Maybe they're shipping items home at the end of the semester or to the school at the beginning of semester. They can take advantage of personal shipping. They're selling their textbooks from the previous year in online marketplaces, and they can sell those and ship those through personal shipping, all without leaving the safety and security of the campus environment. You can also enhance your faculty and administration benefits program. No cost, and it needs little or no maintenance. It can reduce shipping costs to your employees. It can improve cost accountability within your school, and it can keep employees and faculty safe, secure, and productive. Now, it can be used to attract adjunct faculty as well. Peerbridge, just as an aside, is one part of our suite of software that supports shipping in colleges and universities. I'm joined today by our VP of Product Management and Strategy, Mike Graves. If you're on mute, you don't have to say hi, but he'll be joining us in a few minutes after a couple of slides, and he's going to let you see personal shipping in action. So there's a recent article in the Washington Post from June 4th that highlighted the competition between post-secondary education institutions to attract and retain students. And this, I think, has become heightened by the COVID-19 crisis that will definitely interrupt the normal campus life this fall. Higher education schools are turning to added perks and even offering cold cash to lure students back to their campuses. Although this may be an anomaly, colleges and universities do need to differentiate themselves by improving the on-campus life of their student body. In terms of faculty, administration, staff, and other campus employees, competition can also be fierce. According to a Forbes article, staffing is very important for non-tenure and adjunct lecturers. This follows employment trends in the broader marketplace. Increasingly, employees are looking for lifestyle benefits that save them time, money, and headaches, things that will keep them productive during the day and a little bit more rested during the evenings and on weekends. Benefits programs, we know they can be expensive and they can be difficult to maintain. Therefore, many companies and educational organizations let people leave the campus to ship or drop off shipments in their overburdened campus mail centers and let them ship on their account, or they build custom solutions or turn a blind eye to rogue shipping. So with personal shipping, it is a great way to keep people on campus. And in the time of COVID-19, it's a good way to provide a no-contact shipping method that will help keep your students and staff safer. I think it's fair to say that at some point, everyone needs to ship a personal package. Maybe it's some important paperwork, a gift for a friend or a family member, or items they've sold online. And whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not, you may already be supporting personal shipping as an organization. Many large organizations formally or informally support it. They do it by turning a blind eye to rogue shipping, or they implement do-it-yourself, something we call do-it-yourself or DIY personal shipping solutions. These can be a drain on administration costs, accounting, and campus mailroom and IT resources. So let's quickly look at some of the rogue shipping and DIY scenarios. In the first rogue shipping scenario, staff and students would simply head off campus during the day and ship a package. Obviously, students aren't accountable to the university for their time, but staff are. And while the staff is off-site handling their shipment, they're unresponsive, They're away from their desk. It's lost productivity. And for students, this takes them away from their studies or their social life on campus. And it also means leaving the safety of the dorm room or campus. And for both, it could mean a long commute to the shipping store and a long wait at the counter. And in the time of COVID-19, we understand that this is a time that would expose them to a greater risk of contracting the virus. This scenario is probably by far the most common rogue shipping scenario, but it's not the only one. The second and less common is where staff would sneak a shipment on the organization's account by slipping their package into the regular outgoing shipments. In this scenario, the organization puts the entire bill for the shipment. Sometimes it's done maybe with some tacit approval, and that's fine. And although it is small, it can be small, it is technically employee theft. It's like stealing pens and paper, and it can add up over time. Let's move on to the DIY scenarios. The first one here is where you allow staff and employees to ship on the company account and you charge them for the cost. And it's very common amongst organizations, but it does create headaches and cost accountability issues. It takes time for your accounting teams to process and account for the transaction. You've got to be set up to handle cash or credit cards, or if you aren't, then you've got to be able to manage it through payroll deductions. And these shipments are subject to a series of post-shipment or post-payment charges, if you will. These are things like penalties for bad addresses, commercial versus residential. If you get that address wrong, there's a charge involved there. Dimension fees if the weight doesn't match the size of the box, and so on. These will be applied post-shipment by the carrier, and there's little or no way to determine what they are in advance, let alone collect these fees as a result. So it's an unrecovered cost for the organization. A little less common is the DIY scenario number 2. This is where the organization uses a custom-built tool to ship on the organization's account. Now, it's less common, probably because it's a significant investment, but we do come across it from time to time, and Mike will share a real-world business campus scenario we've encountered recently. But in this specific scenario, there's a huge upfront investment in time, effort, and money from IT to build the system, and as well as over time to maintain it and keep it up and running. Plus, you have to deal with hosting credit card information securely and processing those payments, and those are IT headaches. This system as well, if it's not set up properly, would face the same inability to collect and account for those post-shipment adjustments. So just to ask the question, what if people, and by people I mean students and staff in university, could ship from their desk using their credit card with an easily accessible enterprise shipping tool, where they don't have to leave the building, their office, or the campus environment, where they pay for the shipping and any accessorial fees in a secure transaction environment, where they can ship with the same efficiency as high-volume mail centers and warehouses, and where there is no cost to the organization and very little maintenance. So to answer that question, I'm going to pass things over to Mr. Graves. Mike, you want to take things from here?
Great, thanks, Scott. All right, so as Scott mentioned, we're finding that these perk packages that started in the corporate environment are working their way onto campus as expected benefits or as differentiators to attract and retain the best talent. And one of those benefits is the ability to work from home. And now with the COVID, we're seeing more of that. Requests that people need to be able to work or attend classes from off-campus environments, and they still want to be able to take advantage of these types of benefits. So personal shipping has several key benefits, including access to discount shipping rates. So those are lower than what you would find at regular counter retail environments. The ease of shipping, it's super easy to use, and it provides access to drop locations and carrier pickup requests, so they pick it up right at your location. And of course, it has a layer of privacy that you wouldn't get with some of the other solutions. So there's no organizational access to your personal shipping addresses and shipment details. So as discussed earlier in the presentation by Scott, and you are well aware, if you're on this call, that attracting and retaining the best students is a difficult task. So adding benefits like personal shipping helps show parents and students that the organization cares and is willing to go the extra mile to provide these types of services. So in addition to the benefits that previously discussed, students and parents will appreciate the added security provided by personal shipping. So the contactless shipping support, with the ability to avoid long lines at the campus bookstore, mail centers, or off-campus retail drop centers is really important. And the ability to stay on campus or in your apartment or dorm, no reason to leave the secure environment to go to a retail location to process your shipping. So I wanted to talk about recent example that we've had with a large organization that had created an in-house solution. So they developed this DIY solution to provide shipping for their staff. And as Scott indicated, it was a fairly expensive proposition to create. They supported a single carrier option, and the employees paid up front with a PayPal service based on the expected charges for that shipment. So some of the problems the customer was having is employees were looking for alternative carriers. They weren't pleased that they only had a single carrier solution. They wanted to potentially ship to international destinations, and that wasn't supported. The customer had increased overhead costs and support costs to IT and development resources. And it created a lot of additional traffic in the mail center that was stressing the mail center operations. And as Scott indicated with some of the recoverable costs for this particular organization, they had an excess of $30,000 a year in unrecoverable post-shipment adjustments that they really didn't have a process by which they could go back to the original shipper and get those charges. So it just became a sunk cost as part of the benefit. So personal shipping, was presented as a single solution, providing the multi-carrier shipping, accepting a wide array of credit card payment options with automated accounting for those post-shipment charges, going directly to the original payment method, all while reducing the package handling in the mail center. So as you can see, personal shipping can deliver a myriad of benefits to your school and students, faculty, staff, and even to the parents. So what I'd like to do is just switch over to a quick demo and give you a quick idea of how personal shipping works. Let me just refresh this page. So this is the standard personal shipping application. You can see that when I logged in, it defaulted my address. I can simply select from my address book, or I can manually type an address and save as a new entry. Simply enter the anticipated weight of the shipment, and I can click next. At this point, it's going to do an address validation. So the idea there is that it should help eliminate some of those post-shipment adjustments and unexpected charges. At this point, I can update the address. It's now letting me know that the address is valid, but it didn't have the residential box checked. So it's going to take care of that and make sure that when we do the rate shop, that it actually is looking at the the expected landed costs, including those residential delivery fees. So at this point, I can see all of the services and carrier options available, and I can see that in a calendar view, or I can switch to a list view if I prefer. So in this case, I'm going to select priority mail, and I can enter a new payment option here, or I can select from a saved one. So in this case, I've got a stored credit card, and all I have to do is simply hit pay and print. So at this point, it's generating the label that I can then send off to my printer. All right. We do appreciate customer feedback, so we've provided a feedback loop right in the product. If you've got any suggestions or ideas for improvement, we'd love to hear them there. Otherwise, you can just hit close. Quickly, you can go to your history and see all of your previous shipments. And in the case of the one that I just generated, those would be sorted by default on top. I can look at the details. This is where I can track a shipment, as well as void it. So in this case, I decided, you know what, I don't need to ship that. I can simply void that. And again, makes for a self-service experience without having to call the mail center or have someone provide any kind of customer service related to that. All right, so that is personal shipping in a nutshell. So, Scott?
Great, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. And we'll take a few questions. You can ask a question in the interface of GoToWebinar along the right-hand side there. We've gotten a few in so far. Here's the first one, Mike, if you want to answer it. How does personal shipping affect my existing carrier account or relationship?
Yeah, so the good news is that these accounts are independent of your existing accounts. So that's how we're able to manage all the accounting functionality. So these are Transtream accounts that are used, so it shouldn't have any impact on your current accounts.
Great. And I think it's a follow-up question. Are they using the same rates or the account rates?
So these are not using your organizational rates. In personal shipping, we do have discount rates that are below counter rate, but it may not be as steep in some cases as your internal rates, but that is to account for the additional processing costs and some of those other costs beyond just your rates that would be in a DIY solution.
Thank you. Here's another question. What does a student do if they don't have a credit card?
Oh, that's a great question. So in addition to credit cards, we do support Google Pay and Apple Pay today. And we're constantly looking at areas that we can expand that functionality to include other payment types.
And I think there's one more question, and we might wrap up right after this. How long does it take to get it set up and going?
Yeah, the good news is, we can have this ready in as little as a day. So the customer account can be created, and then it's really super simple for the users. You can send them a welcome email with a registration code, and they can actually self-sign on and configure their system and be shipping the same day.
Awesome. I think that's it for the questions. So thanks again to you, first of all, to you, Mike, for walking us through personal shipping, and thanks also to the folks in our audience for taking some time out of their day to join us today. Personal shipping is one of the apps available from our Transtream multi-carrier management solution. It's used by several universities and schools across the United States. Personal shipping provides, as Mike mentioned, multi-carrier shipping. It accepts a wide array of payment options, has automated accounting for post-shipment charges going directly to the original payment method, and all while reducing package handling in the mail center. So it's a nice solution. Thanks again for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more, You can reach out to us via email at the addresses on the screen, and we will follow up this presentation with a copy of the recorded webinar for you to listen to again and share with your colleagues. Have a wonderful day.